long metal gangplank. "No problem. The guy on the crane seems to be drunk, but he's coming close." Franklin watched the swaying gangplank. Two men stood on the pier waiting. The Ford bus was 20 feet away. Finally, the gangplank touched the ship. Phillips grabbed it, secured it to the flyer, and walked to the middle of it to unhook the 4 crane cables. He released the shackles, and the gangplank was in place. The 2 men on the pier yelled to Phillips, who waved them aboard. Franklin stood at the top of the gangplank and waited. The men stepped off and extended their hands to him. He shook their hands and nodded. "Morning. You speak English?" "Yes, a little," said one of them. "Are you an officer?" "I'm the chief engineer," Franklin replied. "You have your papers?" the official asked. "Sure. Come to my office," Franklin said, walking ahead of them down the passageway. He stopped and turned. "Hey, Phillips." "Yeah?" Phillips said, interrupting his conversation with another sailor. "Would you give those Ford guys a hand?" Phillips frowned in confusion, looked over at the pier, and saw men in blue coveralls getting out of the Ford bus. He turned to Franklin, rolled his eyes, and nodded. 30 Ford mechanics picked up their blue satchels and walked quickly onto the ship. Phillips stepped aside and let them onto the deck. The space was only large enough for about 20. The others stood restlessly on the creaking gangplank. Their satchels looked heavy, Phillips thought. Probably tools. He chuckled at the idea of these Indonesian mechanics, bringing new starters for all the brand-new American cars they assumed weren't going to start. The leader of the workers approached him. "Morning," Phillips said, extending his hand. "Good morning," the man said in English, not taking Phillips's hand. Phillips looked into his dark brown eyes. There was no joy at being a Ford mechanic in them. "You boys here to get the cars ready?" "Where is Captain?" the man asked. He had a perfect complexion and dark eyes. His eyebrows were thin lines. He was much shorter than Phillips, who was 6 feet tall and weighed 250 pounds. The small man weighed half as much. "I could crush him like a bug," Phillips said to himself, as he unconsciously sucked in his belly. "What do you need to see the captain for?" Phillips asked, annoyed. "Can I see your papers?" "Where is Captain?" the man said in a quiet voice, standing steadily, unintimidated by Phillips. "I suppose he's on the bridge, but before we do anything, I need to see your papers." The man put his satchel down and squatted next to it. He opened the zipper halfway and quickly pulled out a Chinese Type 64 machine pistol with a long silencer. He came up suddenly and placed the barrel under Phillips's chin. "Where is Captain?" "What the hell?" Phillips's mouth suddenly went dry. "Shut up," the man said quietly. Phillips nodded. "Take us to Captain," the man insisted. "Now." He eased the pressure of the barrel on Phillips's chin. Phillips swallowed hard. His heart raced. He tried to think of some way to deflect them, to get them into a compartment he could lock, but his mind wouldn't work fast enough. "Now," the man said again. Phillips walked forward, down the passageway Franklin had used. He stopped at the foot of a series of ladders that led to the bridge. As he missed the first step, his boot smacked the tiled deck with a loud noise. The leader moved up behind him and put a hand on his shoulder. He leaned forward. "More noise, I shoot." He put the pistol in Phillips's back. "Understand?" Phillips nodded. He climbed the ladder carefully. As his head reached the next deck, another sailor was waiting to go down the ladder. "Get out of here," Phillips said, in a terrified whisper, with a wild look in his eyes. "Why the hell should I?" asked Bart Jenkins in his usual cavalier tone as he stood waiting for Phillips. "Now!" Phillips whispered, wanting to scream at him. The leader noticed Phillips had slowed. "What doing?" he said, pushing up through the hatch with surprising force. Phillips rolled off the top of the ladder onto the deck. The leader stuck his head up through the hatch and saw Jenkins, who froze as the man raised his gun and shot. Jenkins's knees gave out, and he